What a battle.
Yeah, it got pretty intense. Honestly, there was a lot of... It's much more harrowing than the subway battle.
Yeah,
Subway battle was awesome.
I really like the way that they're playing with the format some this season. It's something that we've mentioned before, doing like the 2 non-combat episodes before getting to the first battle. And similarly with this, like, because usually when a battle episode starts, like, they rolled initiative at the end of the previous thing, we're jumping into it. Whereas here, there's still a little bit of stuff going on. As this episode, we start out, like, we know something's happening. Sophia's with Esther. Their, like, alarms go off. They're with JJ. So they kind of brief, okay, this is happening. Who has to go where? Who can help with what? Because, like, Alejandra's granddaughters are there, but can't do some of the work because it involves being underwater, under moving water. But then we have a scene where we actually get to see Lowell. Yeah, so just before we dig into that Lowell scene, the first one is kind of just like rolling to kind of figure out what's wrong. As we've seen a couple times where those lore checks are really hit and miss this season. Mm-hmm. So we really just got the basics that the Umbra engine has energy, potentially too much energy, and that the wards are down. And that's all they know. Even though there is energy, the wards aren't using it. Yeah. So then we get to finally see Lowell. They've been talking about Lowell, informing people who don't know him what it is he does. But we get to see him again. I had this thought during the rewatch of just like, oh God, I hope nothing happens to Lowell because of having it inside him.
I didn't even consider that.
Neither did I, right?
Don't you take that beautiful angel's butthole from this plane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was a little bit confused for a moment on the mechanics of Lowell's butthole, because his brain first is like, it's about complexity. But when they mentioned they could shrink it really small, he's like, oh, maybe it'll only be 12 hours. Because he reconfirms the first thing that was about complexity, it was like, no, that was just the funny thing to say at the moment. And that's absolutely the right choice.
Yeah.
And just Iga's finest quote, possibly thus far, who knows what tricks other people might have if they just stuck things up their butt.
Yep, 100%. There's skills you may not even know about, listeners.
We all could have, you know what? So many people could just be magic. The whole world could have magic, and who'd know?
The magic was inside of your butt the whole time.
So that's all I have for that, because then it goes to Cody and Ricky, because we're kind of just like establishing where people are before they meet up in front of the tunnel. Mm-hmm. So it starts with like the whole conversation of, did I mess up? Like, you don't need to tell people, like, you don't have to lie, but just...
Cody being like, I fucked up, oh no.
And just like after Ricky just being like, who could possibly have done this? Oh, I was so excited that at like the end of that scene of them like charging off to meet up with people was Cody being like, yeah, my fine steed is a moped, and because it's a fine steed, it is a 1 horsepower moped.
Oh, it's one of those bikes that just has a little engine on it.
Oh god, yeah, I love. So like they decided that later in the battle, and I'm so happy that like, because they do the art afterward, they just made the art asset of just like a bike with a motor on it. Bike. And just like, oh yeah, just being like, aw, Ricky watching Naruto to connect more with Cody. So everyone then gathers on the New Jersey side of the Holland Tunnel, kind of introduce JJ, what he'll be doing, possibly just like the kickoff of just the finest comedic thread through this episode. Sophia handing off the questing blade.
We had thought Dale was going to eventually give Ricky back the questing blade. And then we're like, oh, Ricky's doing a different thing as a paladin. Maybe not. And then Sophia gets it, and I was like, oh, okay.
So honestly, I thought it would just like be a journey that since they did immediately give it to him, it was like, okay, so it's going to be like an arc of him No,
it just
Nope.
goes to Cody.
Just magnetically pulls.
The level of Zach's ability to play a extremely polite and friendly guy filled with so much
Just
bitterness and anger.
The disbelief and constantly talking himself down. Like it's okay.
It's okay, it's fine.
This is what's supposed to
I think
happen.
Ricky just goes and breaks his tangent just straight.
Shortly, yeah, that happens real shortly after. Just the PC reaction.
Oh, God.
Watching everyone's individual frames. Siobhan fully disappearing from the frame. Allie's just like, everyone's reaction to that was the best fucking thing ever. Just Cody's as he would, absolute jubilation.
Yeah, Cody is in love with this. It's almost as good as the Buster sword. It's almost. Maybe. So the Buster sword, if you had it, would be preferable to this. The questing blade. Well, like if I got it back from the
That
cops.
was when Ricky broke the statue, I believe.
I'm done.
And just I'd be lying if I said this is how I thought this would go down. It was a nice thing because they had the Peasant's Blade come from Iga's castle and were very clear that this is something that was like definitely would be strongest in Ricky's hands. And so it gave a specific reason to hand off the Peasant Blade to Ricky and just like realizing, oh, that's its name? Oh, cool.
It's called the Peasant Blade. Excellent. Mm-hmm.
I just feel like this sword likes whatever I'm doing. It probably does. Right after that, there were some insight rolls to see what was going on with Ricky. And so Kingston got like a 28 insight. So both him and Pete came and were just comforting Ricky. Cody got a 4 on his insight, so he's just like, just like doing sweet airstrikes with his sword. And Sophie just walks over completely not helping. He's a little piece of shit and he doesn't deserve your sword. So then we understand what it is that's happening. You see the weird umbral energy that's been pushed into the real world from the dreaming. That's now connecting Jersey and New York, allowing devils to cross. They kind of like figure out that the runes are completely missing. So all of this happens before they even roll to see how long they have to set up. So they start loading JJ up. Before the battle even starts, they throw protection from evil and good, sanctuary, and death ward on him. As the battle goes on, he also collects enhanced ability, fox cunning, and greater invisibility.
The most protected. Well, because he's the one mechanic for the
He's the one mechanic. He's a level 1 wizard. As he stated, he has no spells that hurt people. They just need him to do what he needs to do as effectively as possible.
Yeah, it was another great example. It's like, what can a level, what are they, like 11 probably at this point, party do to stoke a thing, like a level 10 or a level 11 party do to stoke? And it's like quite a bit, actually. They can turn a little fragile thing into a very difficult thing to deal with.
Yeah, real hard to hit. So in that time, Sophie sees someone watching them from a billboard that kind of disappears. Here's when Murph rolls. I was so scared when they were like, Murph will roll this. So Murph rolled a 6 out on a d6 for number of rounds before the devils appear.
It gives them about a little over half a minute to sort of prep and try to do some things.
They were so effective. I was very real happy with Siobhan's first move of casting Disguise Self to turn into a traffic cop. To get everyone out of the toll booth and kind of like out of the cars.
Yeah, get the civilians out. Only further bolstered by, I think, Cody. So Ricky tries to confiscate someone's car as a former firefighter.
And like during this time. And he fucking fails.
And then Cody's got that like people are frightened of you thing.
Dreadful aspect.
Yeah, dreadful aspect. And it just works for Cody. He's like, yeah.
Once again, just like rubbing that in, just like, thanks.
Thanks, Cody. Fuck this guy.
Also during this time, Pass Without Trace, Sophia casts that on pretty much everyone. Cody's just waving his sword, yelling at people to help get them out of the cars and leaving. We find out that Pete hasn't heard from, this happened so quick, and I'm sad that this wasn't a conversation after the fight or a small scene before the battle, because it's just real quick between Emily and Allie, just that okay, we haven't heard from not in a few weeks. Pete's detect thoughts also sending back static, and then Sophia drops that from their research, Nod is a monarch of the dreaming. It is not. They are not the monarch of the dreaming. The gray baby, and then we just have to. That's it.
Yeah.
Then the enemies get close. Everyone gets in position, and we get the reveal of all of our enemy types for this battle. Right at the very top, Brennan confirmed all the people are out of the way and safe, and Cody just, why don't you smoke a real cigarette, you piece of shit? I was born in Jersey. There's a New Jersey devil. Just starting the other comedic thread that runs through the whole episode.
The New Jersey devil.
It was nice. Everyone got good initiatives. It was a little sad, and Siobhan pointed out being a little disappointed in burning one of their luck points, I think, to re-roll an initiative when everyone ended up getting good initiatives. So I was like, oh, there really wasn't a need for that, but... Yeah, so Kingston is the first actual turn. It's a nat 1 on a guiding bolt. But I really liked Brennan's narration there. It's just the magic got too close to Jersey. Fizzle out.
It was that.
I loved this. This is a first turn. 4th level erupting earth.
That was a strong play for a incoming horde.
Yeah, something 29 damage. There's a dex save. And it made the area difficult terrain. So with those hordes coming, it was a real nice move.
Slows them way down. Also, amount of minis that appear at the beginning of the battle are tokens.
Yeah.
That appear at the beginning of the battle really sets a tone for what this is going to be, which is this is a bunch of enemies.
Yeah, it's this is a tower defense survive.
Which Brennan I think did a very good job both with the map and with the statements and with the prep time. It's and with the NPC that they have to protect.
Yeah, he's very clear and very clear at the beginning that there was hundreds coming. Very clear that telegraphing that this isn't, these that you see here are not all that are here. More will arrive.
Yeah, and so it feels very much like you're holding your purpose. You need to hold the line, basically.
Protect that babby wizard. Small devils move up. Ricky delays it. We honestly, Crown of Candy was the first season where I feel we really saw a lot of people delaying actions and turns to do things. And I feel they learned from that. And so Ricky here, instead of doing anything, and because he was real worried about getting surrounded, delays his first turn. I loved on Iga's first turn using their elemental gift to fly, and the way that Siobhan described that as having full rigging under her clothes. It looks like she's being carried on wires when she flies.
I love the idea of the charlatan witch being an actual warlock. I like that Siobhan keeps leaning into that.
Yeah, and does synaptic static. Oh yeah, I think one of the big ones she gets with it.
Synaptic static is a beast of a spell.
It's real handy.
They got to whip out the big area effect spells.
Well, and it's really nice because we're getting to see these characters at level 10, level 11. So we're starting to get to see spells that we don't get to see very often because they don't exist until you're into higher level characters, which we've only really gotten to see in Fantasy High. After that is Cody's first turn. And I love it because you could, I don't know if you could script it better. It's absolutely, as we've said before, Dice leaning into the story of what everyone wants this character to be. That first turn, he rides up to the Jersey Devil, gives him the finger, fails to bestow curse, fails a charge attack with a moped, gets walloped in the back of the head by the opportunity attack mopeding away, and then gets surrounded. Like,
it really...
Oh, and that's when he decided it's just a bicycle with the motor on it.
Yeah, that's when he decided it's a bicycle. You don't have to pedal as hard going up hills. I agree. This is the second battle, and it happened to him again. His first turn is essentially a bus that gets him deep in the shit. And it is so appropriate for a character like Cody to come in like, all right, it's time to do this, and then fuck up and then be effective after the initial failure.
Yeah.
So he's been embarrassed. Now it's
was
time
overconfident, needs to humble up, come back,
focus, and get into this.
But yeah, just this reminded me, fucking devils and having advantage on saving against magic. I remember this from their fight with Isabella Inferno.
Yeah. Any kind of demonic or infernal, most infernal and celestial creatures have magical resistance. So it's essentially just they get advantage on saving throws and they take a lot less damage from different kinds of magic, and it's a nightmare to fight.
Yeah, so ending with Cody in fair danger. It was already like Brendan already said next thing's turn, and that's when Ricky's Zach's like, wait, I'm gonna take my turn now. Try and save his ass a little bit. Cody. And so that's when he takes the empty cab and manages to take out one of the swarm demons or swarm devils around Cody. Also with that, Brennan lets Ricky absorb 28 of Cody's damage. Right after Zach, enemies go. Mm-hmm. Cody gets his shit kicked. Zach, being Ricky, is like, I would be trying to help protect. Can I absorb that damage? Even though he asked after the fact. It's like, yeah. It's not per hit, so I guess that's 28 damage. Everyone at the table, are you sure? So that helps him have a reasonable amount of health, both Cody and Ricky, because he hadn't been hurt too much. But then Cody just gets finger of death by the Jersey Devil and goes down. Which, I mean, I suppose it's better than if he was already down and was finger of death, because then that would be it. He just rises as something under his control. Then the siege devils go fucking just throwing semis, clearing path for the next wave. Sophie moves up up to the front to attack the Jersey Devil, nabs Cody and gets his ass out of immediate danger. Then we get back around to Kingston, who can thankfully just brings Cody right up. The third level healing word. And then just Sacred Flame incinerates one of the fucking shitty little swarm devils.
I like that Kingston kind of played zone around the wizard for the most part.
That they needed that.
Yeah,
because if they didn't have someone there doing that, those three that went to Kingston that got to him and surrounded him for a while.
Well, I don't know. I can't remember when
he wasn't
exactly
invisible yet.
Yeah. So they would have gone straight to him.
Allie came in really wanting to do a careful fireball, so Brennan immediately was very kind. It's like, do an Arcana check. Low DC. And that was enough for Allie to be like, wait, nope, devils, not fire. Okay.
Never fire. Never fire on devils.
And so instead used Quicken Spell to get the greater invisibility on JJ. So Ricky, up until this point, he's on his redemption oath, is avoiding attacking because, it said something about a weapon finding him. Of course, in his mind, I'm sure he thought that would be the questing blade, but now that he has a weapon, the peasant's blade that's kind of found him, he actually leans into using that again.
Yeah.
Using a weapon again. Right after that, basically thinking about that or talking about that out loud. Murph's Cody just, it's a pretty good sword, Rick. I don't love that, Cody.
Cody calling Ricky Rick is one of the most subtle, nailed-on plays.
Let's see, then him and Ox do some damage. Iga goes, Eldritch blasts some dudes. We come back around to Cody, just talking to his sword while Ricky overhears. And the sword being like, just treasure Just treasure.
Just treasure it. Just treat me well.
Just again, I am the true Jersey Devil.
I'm gonna put you on my wall when we get home.
And then we had a Siege Devil failing against Crown of Madness, which was awesome.
Yeah, that's now we have Cody starting to be effective.
Mm-hmm. Because he manages to do that and then immediately fails on another trampling attack with the moped.
What I like about that, and we haven't really discussed this, those Siege Devils were not fucking around.
Those guys were fucking nuts.
All the little devils were about pack tactics and or allies being near each other and like grouping up and mobbing on you.
Yeah, I understand. In retrospect, Brendan did describe it they're very large, they are very buff and tall, and but it wasn't till the first one threw a semi that I was like, oh fuck.
Yeah, it brings a lot of weight. So when Cody Crown of Madness that one, I was like, that's a big fucking win to have one of these things on your side.
Yeah, not just out of the battle, but actively helping. Yeah. Fuck yeah. But I love that, him declaring I'm the New Jersey Devil and that being the thing. And he's like, yeah,
one of them is
okay.
More. Yeah.
So then we have for the first time more devils appear, just a bunch of swarm devils appearing on the turnpike and charging Sophia. The Siege Devil that Cody charmed, or Crown of Madness, knocks one of the other ones prone, which is awesome. Ricky gets really lucky missing those gore attacks throughout this whole battle. Yeah. This first one, he burned one of his lucky points to do so, but it was the right choice.
Yeah, because he saw how much they did, and he already just taken all that damage for Cody a turn or two ago. So, he had to make his calls. All they have to do is be hit a couple times by these Siege Devils. They got lucky to avoid the Siege Devils just destroying one of them. Yeah. Because those were obviously the thing. The Swarm Devils were there to make life inconvenient for them.
Yeah, it's coming up here, but when Kingston's surrounded by three of them, they get 2 attacks. With the 2 times that all 3 of them attacked him, the first time, none of them hit him, and the second time out of the 6 attacks, 1 hit him. Yeah. They're there to be inconvenient and shitty.
It's very 4th edition minion style, except just a little bit increased. Based off of how quickly they died off and roughly around where they died off, they're probably a CR quarter devil minion in the book. They all looked like they had roughly 14, 15
little points. Broken Smirnoff bottles.
Yeah, little broken Smirnoff bottles. They probably only had +4 to hit. But yeah, it was great, the imagery of Kingston just being surrounded and him being it's fine, it's fine. I know I'm an older cleric, but that at this level now I'm a badass. To be clear, a level 10, a level 11 cleric is very durable and fine.
So this brings us to, I think one of my second favorite moment, because nothing can really beat the questing blade, but this moment where Iga declared they were going to counterspell the Jersey Devil, because they were he's casting something big. Last time it was Finger of Death, so they're counterspell. Realize that they're closer to 80 feet and too far away, and Ricky just announces he'll counterspell. Everyone's like, wait, what? He fucking nat 20s to counterspell, because it was a 6th level, so he needed a 16 or higher?
16, 17, something like that.
And just getting a nat 20 to just snatch that shit.
That was big.
It was so adorable and wholesome. Both because it was so important, because Sophia got a nat 1 on their save and Cody got a 5 on their save, because they had already rolled those, assuming they'd need to. And just Ricky, yeah, I'm not a mean guy. You need to knock it off.
Knock it off.
Yeah, and so I know he definitely dodged several, which were awesome, but Ricky does still get hit by one of those big demons. It takes 45 damage.
45 damage.
Just fucked his shit up. Hit. Yeah, and because he has a lot of life and hadn't honestly taken much damage other than what he took for Cody.
Yeah, he was
still at 10. So Sophia takes several opportunity attacks. Oh, so this is when Sophia gets up behind the Jersey Devil.
Yeah.
using their jump to just basically they get opportunity attacks from what's around them, but not like a bunch of other people crossing to him. And doesn't hit the first couple times because Jersey Devil just immediately shields. But I loved this move of just like, nope, I'm just wailing on him. I'm burning key points to stunning strike him, and fucking third one does it.
Yep, third time's the charm. That's clutch. It's really strategic because they see that they have to shut him down. Like the siege devils are a big problem because they hit super hard, but he's the one who can do area attacks
and like, single like a spell takedown. He probably doesn't have a lot of those,
but like yeah. And so they're like, we need to put this guy. We need to stop this person from going because they're going to make this battle impossible.
And that nice thing of stunning strike, that if they fail, they're stunned until the end of your next turn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
not
so
until their
cuts
turn.
Their turn off by guarantee.
Mm-hmm. And just having it succeed on her like quote of "No one thinks I'm from Jersey, never once." So then Big Devils throw some cars. Thankfully, Miss Sophia. Kingston dodges those attacks from the Swarm Devils. JJ at first is doing pretty good. He succeeded on both the first and second layers of runes. But in a case kind of the opposite of what we usually see, where things get easier over time, the DC is going up with each layer.
Yep.
And what we found out through the episode is that he only gets one chance to fumble it. One of the next like real nice things was Lou's brilliant asking, is there a Tesla around? Rolling successfully so that there was, and using remote access. Holy shit, so good.
Yeah, that to me is one of my favorite movements because that's another one of those good, like they're looking at the map, they see that there are cars. Kingston has this ability.
Yeah, and they know the cars aren't fixed because Brian's been moving them.
Yeah, they know the cars aren't fixed.
Been moving them
and so it really was Lou doing that good galaxy brain playing. It was like, what's in my environment around me? And if I ask a DM this, can I hit someone with a car? Can I, as a normal cleric, do basically throw a boulder at someone? And
well, it's so good because it's like, okay, we've already done this once. We've already run enemies over with cars, so we've established that's fine. And this says as if it's in my hands. So, because this Ricky's turn and Pete's turn all kind of got wrapped up together, and like there's holding actions to basically all work together to quickly have this thing happen. Where basically he drives it over and just like holds an action to he ends up not hitting anyone with it, but uses it to pull Ricky and Ox out of danger. So basically he uses movement to get it over there and hold action to dash once Ricky and Ox get in. Pete runs forward and gets ready to cast Cone of Cold and holds his action to do it as soon as Ricky gets clear. So Ricky, heals, rides in the Tesla next to Cody. And Pete's held action goes off and fucking catches almost all of, like, a huge clump of them for 38 cold damage. It, like, instantly killed all the Swarm Devils.
Yeah, even if they had saved. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, like, unfortunately, a bunch of the bigger things did save, but that's still 19 damage.
It's still 19
it's still
damage
so
on
good.
Targets.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember if it's in an after talk or an interview somewhere or something, but Brennan likening Unsleeping City to a superhero campaign, because a lot, they're at the tunnel, they're holding back a swarm of devils, it's an invasion, they're coordinating attacks and figuring out ways to fight these bigger than life enemies, and the Jersey Devil.
Yeah, there absolutely is a different level of strategy.
Yeah.
And coordination between them that, maybe they would have had that over time, but Crown of Candy definitely, I think, made a huge difference, which they even said as much on their fighting style.
Their fighting style, But on top of all of that, yeah, and that strategy is evident. They learned a lot from that very harrowing season of Crown of Candy. This is some Avengers protecting New York level shit that they get to do.
Yeah.
And they do it in the first season too, toward the end, especially when in the finale, spoilers for the finale, fucking the sky battles that happen in Unsleeping City with the American Dream is huge. So they do that. It's almost like the first season it turned the first season, even though it felt like a complete story in and of itself, into an origin story for this team of superheroes. And now it's superhero shit.
So Iga goes for Synaptic Static again, which is real nice. Like the Jersey Devil saves, but all but one of the Swarm Devils around him fail.
Yep.
And so get that negative to their rolls. Cody dashes to another devil, going all out. This is when Cody's finally effective as fuck. This is when he does like a blinding smite bonus action, does a 3rd level smite as well. And everyone's just like, yeah, you freaked out. Because he's just like, get the fuck out of here. And does his second attack with a 2nd level smite since he's out of 3s. And just like going all out just this other time. And that's when Allie's like, Ricky, you bleeding there? You're biting your lip real hard.
Yeah. It's great. It's good that he has it. Oh, the thirsting blade.
Yep. That's also all right. That's it's like, yeah, renames the thirsting blade. We are the real Jersey Devils. And just the collection, like the cacophony, like the things I could pick out is like, you could be, oh no.
On the one hand, yeah, because it's going to Cody. Like, if the questing blade had gone to literally anyone else, Ricky would probably be like, well, I'm a little sad, but I'm sure that person deserves it. It's just that it's Cody. That's really it.
Well, that's the thing I was at. Of all of them, Cody has a specific quest. Cody is a quest to save them all.
Cody has a quest to save them all. Cody's also, if you're talking about a questing blade, Cody is also the one who loves swords the most. And is gonna do a bunch of stupid shit with it.
Yeah.
Which is what the questing blade was.
Just treasure me.
Just treasure me. I will.
Alright, so then, let's see, 2 siege devils kill each other. The one with Crown of Madness and the other one.
Another great like a delayed payoff from Cody is Cody continued but delayed payoff. This is like, yeah, that one dies and that. So you don't have to worry about Crown of Madness no longer being part of it. And the other one. So 2 siege devils out of the game.
And on Sophia's next turn, she uses the last bit of her key to keep him stunned again till the end of her next turn.
Yep.
But this I think was a really interesting place, because the battle, this episode ends shortly after this.
Yeah.
And so Sophia is out of key points. Cody out of 3rd level smites. Going through his second. I think he has like
low on second level at least.
Yeah. So our heroes are getting depleted. However, if JJ fails, it's going to be really interesting to figure out what the fuck they do, because they only have so much in them. Yeah. So Jersey Devil gets stunned. Kingston dodges some more attacks. Bringing back the get wet from the Swarm Devils when they're talking to Kingston. You children are a nightmare.
You children are a nightmare.
And then, so this is when JJ fails for the first time on the last layer of runes. That's when Brennan's like, he has to get it on the next time, or that it fails from the beginning. And that's the end of the episode.
Yeah, and that's the dread. They haven't really dealt with the Jersey Devil. They've just put him on the fucking sidelines a lot because they can't hit him hardly. Yeah, like he's hard. He's got a high AC and he's got shield and stuff.
Yeah, they've been extremely lucky to basically shut down 3 out of 4 of his turns so far.
Yeah,
but they don't have much else to do that after this.
Yeah, and so there's some more, like, Ricky hasn't used a ton of his stuff, so he probably has more slots for Counterspell. And Iga might have, I know Siobhan's a pretty mechanical player, so I would be shocked if Siobhan didn't have another Counterspell in her back pocket, just in case. But, like,
yeah, it's like,
they can't stop
most
them
people aren't out of
things, but they are lower. And so, it's neat. It's a great cutoff. I love it, and I'm very happy about it.
Cannot wait to see how this concludes.
I'd like to thank all the artists that created fan art for Dimension 20 for allowing us to include it in this episode. I think I am going to be doing the slideshow at the beginning and then slideshow at the end so that you can see it, and then if there's any key moments where it hits in the middle, so that people can see it. For those of you that are here to the very end of the episode, thank you very much for listening all the way. We recently released our own actual play D&D series called Low Armor Cast. You can find that at the Low AC on Facebook or Twitter, and updates will be posted there. It's fun. Kelsey is a player. I am the DM. And but thank you for listening. See you next week.
Thanks.